You check your phone 40 times today. You feel anxious for no clear reason. You crave something sweet even when you are not hungry. This feels like just modern life. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain has not caught up to the world you built. It is still running on instructions written for a planet that no longer exists. For nearly all of human history, you lived in small bands. You knew everyone you met. Food was scarce, then briefly abundant, then scarce again. Danger came from a sound in the grass, not a headline. Your senses, your appetites, your fears, all of it was shaped by that older world. Not this one. Evolutionary psychologists John Tooby and Leda Cosmides gave this gap a name: the environment of evolutionary adaptedness, the actual conditions your mind was built to handle. Not an office or a highway, something far older and smaller. Your body evolved over roughly 2 million years on the African savanna. Civilization arrived in the last 10,000. On the timeline of evolution, that is barely a blink. Take sugar. For most of human history, sweetness was rare and valuable. A ripe fruit meant calories, and calories meant survival, so evolution rewarded the craving with a small flood of pleasure. There was no need for restraint, because sugar was never available in dangerous amounts. Now sugar is everywhere, hidden in bread, in sauces, in drinks labeled healthy. Harvard biologist Daniel Lieberman has studied exactly this kind of gap. What happens when a body built for scarcity meets a world built for excess? His research suggests the body did not malfunction. It did exactly what it evolved to do, inside an environment it was never designed for. This is not a flaw in you. This is your design meeting a world it never agreed to. There is a similar pattern in how often you check your phone. Foraging was never guaranteed, and that unpredictability is exactly what kept your ancestors searching, because an occasional reward feels more compelling than a guaranteed one. Apps are built around that same rhythm, and your brain checks for roughly the same reason. Now think about fear. Why does a near miss on the highway barely register, but a tense conversation with a coworker can ruin your whole evening? Your threat system was built for sharp, short danger, a predator, a rival, rejection from your own tribe, which once meant losing food and protection. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky has spent decades studying stress in primates, and his clearest finding is this: the human stress response was built for brief physical danger, not slow, constant pressure. A zebra runs from a lion for a few minutes, then goes back to grazing. You can replay one awkward email for 3 days straight. Your body cannot tell a real predator from a notification. Both trigger the same alarm: cortisol rising, heart climbing, muscles tensing for a fight modern life rarely requires. An alarm built for rare emergencies now fires 50 times a day, and it stays on, quietly wearing down a system never built to run that long. Consider loneliness too. For most of human existence, you lived inside a group of maybe 50 to 150 people. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar proposed that this number, now called Dunbar's number, is roughly the limit of relationships one human brain can track. Not because you are antisocial, but because your brain evolved to monitor exactly that many faces and no more. Now you might have hundreds of online connections and still feel alone, because a like was never built to register the way a shared fire once did. This is the mismatch hiding inside nearly everything that quietly frustrates you about modern life. Not weakness, not failure, just an old map being used on brand new terrain. So if your mind is still essentially ancient, why does any of this matter right now? Because once you see the mismatch, the frustration starts to make sense. The cravings are not a personal failing. The anxiety is not random. The loneliness inside a crowded room is not entirely your fault. These are old systems doing old jobs inside an environment that changed faster than biology ever could. This does not make you stuck. Evolutionary mismatch is closer to a diagnosis than a sentence. Small adjustments help. Real walking instead of one forced workout. Real faces instead of an endless feed. Real darkness instead of a screen until 1 in the morning. Not because modern life is evil, but because your biology is still asking for the conditions it was built inside. You are not a broken modern person. You are a fully intact Stone Age mind. doing its very best inside a world built faster than biology ever agreed to. So tonight, when you check your phone for the 40th time, or crave something sweet you do not need, or feel a flicker of anxiety with no clear cause, remember what is really happening underneath. It is not modern life malfunctioning inside you. It is ancient life, quietly, faithfully, still running.